In this bubble that we find ourselves in of personal finance on YouTube, we're constantly told that frugality is all that you need to secure yourself financially. And to some degree that's true. Whether you make 10 grand a year or 10 million a year, living below your means is the key foundation to building success. But these are some things that I spend more money on in order to make more money. I'm an accountant and a former investment analyst, and what I really wanted to do is take some of the lessons that I'd learned when I was investing other people's money and apply them to my own. And in this video I'm going to be sharing some of those services which I think offer the best return on investment. In terms of return on investment, this is the one for me. The first is life insurance. Now, I apologise for bringing up death this early on in the video, like my bad.
Life insurance.
But I think life insurance can form a really key aspect of a long-term financial strategy. Look at what my own circumstances are like. I have income protection through my work. I have a couple of other benefits related to that, but quite separately and privately. My wife and I decided to take out a life insurance policy that will basically clear the mortgage if one of us kicks the bucket. And to say nothing of the mental weight that that lifts, I think don't have to put squirrel money away into a savings account in the event of that happening. And so it frees up that money that we might otherwise spend for that on investing, something that's going to build our overall wealth. And, it really offers that degree of financial security, which, when you're like me, you've got a wife and 2 kids, it's something that you really want to have. Subscriptions. Other finance influencers are aghast at the prospect of spending a £5 a month on a subscription. Aside from this little thing here, which I saw online, which I totally agree with, I think is on the money. There are also plenty of other subscription services out there which you can use to build some of your kind of core competencies and your key skills, which you can use to help advance your career. And I think these, over the longer term, can represent a really, really good investment in time and money. Something like a Udemy subscription to cover some of your business skills, marketing strategy, Skillshare for tech and creative skills. I use Skillshare a lot for some of my video editing. Let me know if you noticed. Masterclass is another one, a bit pricey. I've never used it. Let me know in the comments below. Is Masterclass worth it? And personally, my 2 favourites, Audible and Blinkist. Being able to just driving to work, listening to an audiobook about investment strategies, or being on the train and listening to a Blink about a book that I haven't really got time to read. I've just finished getting through The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Really recommend it. Such a good book. But I guess my point is that for a small amount of money each month, you might be able to learn some important skills in some of those brief periods during the day where you can just be listening to something. And I think really they can offer sort of a valuable fill in those time rather than watching something on Netflix. But not that I'm against the Netflix subscription. Professional courses. Now this is very closely aligned with our previous one, but I think the difference is that the subscription services, in my view, fill in short, brief periods during your day which you want to fill with learning opportunities, but professional courses for me represent a much bigger time commitment. But obviously with that bigger time commitment, comes the potential for the much bigger gain, the much bigger jump forward in your career, the thing that will separate you from other candidates.
Learn this, but don't learn that.
This is something we talked about in a previous video, the 6 things that got me to a 6-figure salary by the time I was 30, where we talked about the difference between hard skills and soft skills. The idea of your qualifications, your university degree if you have it, your accounting degree, whatever the case may be, versus your soft skills. And I think as we become a more technologically sophisticated society, as the explosion in AI that we're seeing, a lot of those skills are going to change very, very quickly. And I think some of the in-demand skills that LinkedIn found were cloud computing, artificial intelligence, data science. And on the soft skills, they found things like communication, teamwork, problem solving, people management, leadership, those sorts of things. Maybe it's a half day or a day or a couple of day courses in some of these kind of key areas, something that you could put on your CV, I think is key goods. The next is a mortgage broker. Now, who has had to remortgage in the last, let's say, 12 months or so? What happened 12 months ago? Who knows?
The market's in an itsy-bitsy little gully right now.
It's been a pretty painful process, and so I think going through a mortgage broker can be a really good way of getting maybe an off-market deal. Maybe they've got a special relationship with specific lenders and they're able to get you a better rate. When you're talking about such large sums of money, it's not necessarily the case that actually spending a bit of money on a mortgage broker is something that can yield you, potentially much better, much bigger gains.
I'm just a broker.
And just kind of a personal note from me, personally I wouldn't ever pay for a mortgage broker. And just from my own personal experience, the broker gets paid by the bank, so you don't even necessarily have to pay for a mortgage broker, an accountant or tax advisor. Now this for me is a really key one, because you can end up in a situation where if you or your partner end up in a situation where you've got maternity leave, paternity leave, one of you's lost your job or moved jobs, you can end up in a situation where some of those tax codes can end up getting crossed a little bit. And so I think it's worth having a sort of no obligation discussion with an accountant to see if you can file a self-assessment.
Our accountant. The accountant.
Because, you know, small differences in your tax code can really make a big difference. In the rich spend unbelievable sums of money on accountants, and so I think is worth doing every so often. Even if you're PAYE, just having a chat to someone who understands the tax code and who really can help you to sort of benefit from the way the tax code can be worth doing. And if you're self-employed, you go through a limited company, then you probably have an accountant already. One of my friends has gone self-employed. Her accountant just files her accounts, and it was only when I was talking to some of the things that we talk about on this channel where she said, I wonder why my accountant didn't flag that.
He's an accountant, Mike.
And the truth is that often your accountant may not offer tax advice services, so just make sure that they do. Next is a financial planner. You know, having someone who maybe in tandem, maybe as well as your accountant, who really understands what your financial goals are, what your long-term ambitions are, what your long-term objectives are.
So what's the plan?
Can be absolutely key. You know, they don't have to be some like Gordon Gekko looking bloke or whatever. Just someone who quite simply understands and offers very simple, very basic, reasonably priced advice can be absolutely invaluable. And really they can help you make more informed and some of these bigger financial decisions in your life to make sure that they align with your overall financial goals. You know, a good one is, sorry to talk about death twice in one video, but if you're about to receive an inheritance or something like that, they can be in a position to really advise you and make sure that you're managing your tax liability, to make sure that, you know, you're doing the right thing and you're not just going to go and pow, blow the money on whatever. A lawyer, geez, third time talking about death in a video, apologies, but it happens to us all, and there are plenty of people out there who may not necessarily have a will written. You know, it's something you can get done reasonably inexpensively.
Lawyer.
And it can really just protect all your assets, you know, in particular from the tax man, by making sure that you can carefully take advantage of tax breaks or tax loopholes. They can really sort of advise you on what's going to be best to do there. So I guess the core things are going to be, you know, estate planning, prenups, divorce is going to be another one. And then the last one on the list is gym membership. I don't care what anyone says. My view is don't cancel the gym membership, because maybe you're not going at the moment, but if you cancel your membership, then you're definitely not going to go. And in the book The Good Life, which I've got just over there, one of the things they really talk about is the difference between lived years and healthy years. The idea that you don't want to get to your 50s, 60s and 70s and your body to be an absolute mess. And so just invest in your health. I think it's always worth doing. And in terms of some of the other stuff that we've discussed in this video, I would say this is definitely best till last. And I think this is definitely, in terms of return on investment, this is the one for me. You know, I think it will always make sense to live a life as healthily as you possibly can. Thanks very much for watching. You've been watching Mod Money Talk, where we talk all things personal finance and personal development related. If you've liked this video, please like and subscribe below. Comment if you think we've missed anything, and make sure you follow us on Instagram. Peace out.